Hello. Hello. Hey, everyone. Hey, Didi. Glad you could join. Hey, Wing Chun boys. Glad you're here. Hey, Bigfoot. What's up, Dan? How you doing? Whew. How are you guys doing? Okay. It seems like forever, right? It seems like last week was forever. This week went by pretty slowly. What's up, Nikki? How's it going? Uh, you know what I want to do? You know what I want to do now? I want to play Wordle. Now I understand that last time it took like more than half an hour for me to finish it. For me to guess the word, okay? Now that was a fluke. Okay, that was a fluke. This time it's gonna be better. This time this time is gonna be better, okay? I promise you. Promise you. This time is gonna be so fast. We're gonna go through it so fast. You're gonna turn away and look back and then I'll be done. You almost cut your second fingertip off. Oh. That's your second fingertip? Oh my god. That's crazy. Wordle today. What's up, Rita? Hey Katie, how's it going? Did I see your artwork? Oh, I did. Should I show your artwork to the stream? someone drew someone drew me. I don't know why you would do that. Okay. Oh, it's on Instagram. Wait, no, it was on Wait, did you send it to me on email? In email? I don't know if I want to show it now. Alright, this someone did a sketch of me. I don't know why. Hold on. I want to see. Ah! That's me. Good sketch. Good sketch. But we're gonna stop that. Let's not show that anymore. Thanks, Joshua. Alright, we're gonna play Wordle, okay? It's gonna be so fast. I can't look at the chat while I do it. Boom, 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 boom. Alright. We're gonna start now. Just time it, okay? It's gonna be super fast. This is my redemption. Start now. Use my favorite word, array. Fuck! Alright, it's not starting out well. Not starting out well. Next word I usually like to do. So okay. There's only one more vowel. Let's do a word with the O, with an O. Like ghost. Because ghost has the O and it has ST, which are pretty popular, which are pretty common letters. So let's do it. Shit. So there's an I. That's the only vowel? There must be a Y, right? In there somewhere. What? Oh no, it's a super hard word today. Let's try to use an I with a Y. What's a good word with a Y? Like Billy. We don't want to use that because it has two L's. Maybe with an N or an M. N and M are good consonants to use also. Minor? It has I in. Mindy. Can we use Mindy? Oh, I use names. Minx. Oh, we don't want to use the S though. Minkle. Ming. Mink. What about Nimk. NIMBY. I don't think that's the word. That's an acronym. Well, let's try it. Nope. Uh oh. Nid. Okay. I want to use N or an M. Preferably both. Milky. Oh. Okay. I and Y. I and Y. What's the word with I and Y? Yellow. No. Yeah. Nid. Dill. Milky. I and Y. So Y is not at the end. It must be at the beginning, right? It must start with a Y. Because there are not that many words that have Y in the middle. What's the word with a Y and I? Yeah. Wait, what's the word? How do you start? This is a weird word. Event. Oh no. At this point, I just want to find the consonants. N and Y. No, we Z. Punts. I want to find the consonants. Should we do that instead? Because I can't think of a word that starts with a Y. Why? Did I do it? Do it. Okay. Funny. It can't end with a Y. What the hell? Rhythm. Rhythm. Z-Y. Okay. This is hard. Weavern. Oh, yeah. What? Maybe it's a word that I don't even know. Iw. Ix. Ik. Is. Iv. Ib. Ij. Ip. Maybe it doesn't start with a Y then. Oh god. B. It has to. It has to either be a I or a Y, and it's not an I, so it has to be a Y, right? Because it's an N. Symbol. Cindy. That's a name though. Sin. Python. Pin. Pincer. Pin. Pindy. Pindy. Picnic. What the fuck? ZY? N? Zinfandel? Zin. 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 Zinc. Maybe it starts with an I. I. Is. Ix. Ik. Ing. Even. No. Nah. Even. That doesn't make any sense. It has to. In. In. What? In. Fuck. This is so hard. What? V. Y must be here in the second position. Because there's no YI and IY, right? Oh god. How long has it been? See. Could it be a word that I don't know? It's usually an easy word. Sin. What can it be? IY. N. Y-I-N. Yins. Yins. No, no S. What? Why? Ix, ick, iv, is, ib. Ah, no. Vev. Vin. Diesel. Vin. Vinyl! Wait, is that how you spell vinyl? Oh no, vinyl is N. Are we on the right track though? Vin. Vinib. Viniv. Vinnick. Vinnix. Vinniz. Vinnick. Vinu. Vinage. Vinip. Fuck. Oh, vinyl would have been so good. The Y must be here. It must be. It must be. QY? Zin? Zinc? Links? Links? In. Oh, maybe IN? Iniv, inic, inix, iniz, inu. Come on. Come on. Penny. Pin. I literally don't know any words. Windows. I literally can't think of a word. Winch, winch, wink. N. Y, N. I. Q. Z. Y. No. It must be N. Alright. That doesn't work. What the hell is this word? Should we eliminate more consonants? Alright, let's try that. That's the only way now. I can't do it. I can't do it. Alright, let's try C and B. Maybe? Pixel. Pix. Fuck! Bitch. That has B and C. H. B and C. Let's eliminate. Let's try to eliminate another consonant. B and C and P. Pitch or bitch, guys? Pitch or bitch? Pick. Pizza. Pixar. Alright. Going with bitch. No, not on the word. Not in the word list. I guess we gotta go pitch then. That is a perfectly fine word. What do you mean? What do you mean, game? Yeah, but this only eliminates two letters. We need to eliminate more. Pix. Botch. Bob. Boj. Pitch. Okay. C. C-Y-N. C-Y-N-W. C-Y-N. Ick. In. Enoch. Innick. How does this work? What is this word? Oh no, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose. Bin. Busy. Binge. Binge. I is not here. Oh shit, we should have used a word with an I on another position. Oh god damn it. I must be here. It's the only place it can be. Unless it's here. Does it start with a Y? Nothing starts with a Y. If right, Ivan, Icken, Ixen, Izin, Ewan. No, it can't start with a Y. It has to start with an I. I. Itch. No. X is ick. Ugh. I. Can? No. Oh, so close. So close, guys. Pigeon. Ivan. Knock. Ivan Nick. You. I can't even think of a word. E-Y-N-Y. N-I-N. No, no. I hope I'm not muted again. That would be really funny if I muted myself. Bitch! J. I. It has to start with an I. But it doesn't make any sense. The only letter that works here. Ivan? Ibn? Ij? Ew? Y-I? Yin? Yin? Yinik. Yinik. C-Y-N. C-Y-N. Cynic! Y-N. Oh! Yes! What a fucking stupid word. That's the worst word in the world. Oh my god. Wait, how long did that take? How long did that take? 29 minutes? 28? Alright, how many of you guessed cynic? Pinch? Pinch? Okay, okay, okay. Not bad. Not bad. Oh god. Cynic. You know what? That was good. Good stuff. That took like 28 minutes or something. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. We beat last time. We beat 36 minutes. New world record. Okay. I am the Wordle champion. Wordle champion at 28 minutes. Was it 20? Okay. Good job, guys. Good job, stream. All right, let's eat a snack and then we'll get started. We're gonna have snacks for the entire year because like freaking Boxu sent me so many snacks. This is a white strawberry. Hmm. Okay, okay. Oh, it's an actual dried strawberry. You see it? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. It's like candy strawberry. Pretty good. Not really a fan of the strawberry flavor. This is like a 7 or a 6. 6 or 7. Have I tried Worldle? What is Worldle? What is Worldle? Let's see. You know, if I search it, I might try to play it. And we're gonna be here forever. Worldle. But I'll check it out. Oh, so Worldle is like Wordle, but for geography? Alright. I'll check it out off stream, okay? Alright. Anyways. So what happened last week? Alright. So last week, our hero, Duan Yu, is released from the cave. He's out of the cave, okay? The incest cave. He's escaped from the incest cave. And he walks out with not Mu Wanqing, but Zhong Ling. Alright. So our boy avoided incest. Good for him. The Emperor's men, looks like the Emperor's men rescued Mu Wanqing. Secretly, they dug a tunnel under the cave, and they rescued Mu Wanqing and then swapped her with Zhong Ling. Okay, so he's walking out with Zhong Ling, and Zhong Ling's dad expects Mu Wanqing to be there, and then he wants to make fun of them or whatever. But then he sees Zhong Ling there, and he's super embarrassed, and he tries to kill her. Number one dad in the world. He tries to kill her. Zhong Ling is Zhong Ling is saved by the fourth evil, Yun Zhonghe. But the fourth evil kidnaps her and he runs away. Okay, and then they chase after him. And then the man in green is playing Go with the yellow-browed monk. All right, so remember the man in green is the old Prince Yanqing, who is trying to get his throne back, the throne of Dali, because he's actually the rightful heir. Right, he's the rightful emperor. If you follow the line of succession. So he's playing Go with a yellow-browed monk. He's about to win, but then Duan Yu interferes by touching Prince Yanqing and sucking his qi out, right? And so Prince Yanqing is distracted. He pushes him off, but then he makes a mistake, and he makes a dot with his cane on the wrong position on the board, and he loses, right? Yanqing is actually an honorable person, so he accepts his loss, and he walks away. So everyone goes back to the Imperial Palace. I guess this whole arc is over, right? I believe. So everyone goes back to the Imperial Palace. They're talking about marrying Duan Yu to Zhong Ling, but then we find out that Zhong Ling is actually Duan Yu's half sister, also. So there goes those marriage plans. And then someone visits the Imperial Palace. He reveals that a guy named Cui Baichuan had been hiding in the palace, in the Imperial Palace of Dali. So this visitor is this Cui Baichuan guy who's been hiding in the palace. The visitor is his nephew, and his nephew tells him that his martial brother was killed by the Murong family. All right. And then they're visited by two Shaolin monks also, right, at the same time. And the Shaolin monks reveals that their master also seems to have been killed by the Murong family. So who is this Murong family, right? And they say that we kind of know that they were killed by the Murong family because that the Murong family has this guy named Murong Bo who likes to use your best martial arts against you, right? So it seems like the master did die by his own martial arts moves. So they think it's definitely Murong Bo. So who is this Murong family that keeps killing people? And that's what happened last week. How's that? Their security is a joke. Incest averted and then more accidental incest. No, there was no accidental incest. Okay. He didn't sleep with Zhong Ling. He didn't sleep with Mu Wanqing. He didn't sleep with anyone. So incest has been totally, absolutely averted. Cynic. What a shitty word. Alright. Let's get started. Chapter 9, Part 2. For a period of time, there was only silence within the warm pavilion. After a long moment, the yellow-browed monk said slowly, "This old monk has heard that within the world there is a person known as Mu Rongbo. His personal name is Bo, abundant, and his martial arts, knowledge, and abilities truly are abundant and profound to the extreme. It seemed as though he knew every single unique and consummate skill of every sect within the Wulin. He knew every one of them, and could use them as well. In addition, whenever he wanted to kill someone, he would use the same skills which that person had gained fame with." Alright, so this Mu Rongbo uses this your own ability against you. Duan Yu said, "This really is strange beyond imagining. There are so many martial arts in the world. How can he possibly comprehensively learn them all?" The yellow-browed monk replied, "Worthy nephew, your comment is correct. The body of learning is as vast as the sea. How could a single person know everything? But Mu Rongbo did not have many enemies to begin with. In addition, it was said that if Mu Rongbo was unable to kill his enemy with their own martial arts, he would not kill them at all." Emperor Baoding said, "I too have heard that there is such a strange man in the Central Plains. Hebei's 3 warriors of the Luo family excelled in using flying awls. Eventually, all 3 of them died due to flying awls. Taoist Zhu of Shandong, when killing his opponents, would chop off all 4 of their limbs, causing them to cry out in agony for a long time before passing away. Taoist Zhu himself met with such a bitter end. The phrase describing Mu Rongbo using the opponent's skill, exercising them upon the opponent, came from Taoist Zhu's dying lips." After pausing for a moment, he continued, "That year, within the busy streets of Jinan, who knows how many people watched as Taoist Zhu rolled about on the floor, limbless and howling." Oh, that sucked. As he said this, it seemed as though he was dimly seeing in his mind the sight of Taoist Zhu's cruel death. His face was filled with both resentment and with an unbearable look. Duan Zhengchun nodded. "Then it must be so." He suddenly thought of something and said, Master Guo Yangxi's master, Ku Bai Sui, was said to be a master of the soft whip. The powerful force released from his whip was pure and hard. When killing his opponents, he could often crush their skull with a single whip. Can it be that he... Slapping his hands together 3 times, he called for a servant. "Invite Mr. Tui and Master Guo inside. Tell them I have something to discuss with them." The servant replied, "Yes, sir," but he didn't know who Mr. Tui was, and hesitated to leave. Duan Yu laughed. "Mr. Tui is the Mr. Ho of the accounting room." That's Tui Baichuan, right? The guy who's been hiding in the palace for 10 years. Only now did the servant loudly reply, "Yes, sir." Turning his body, he left. After a short period of time, Tui Baichuan and Guo Yanzi arrived at the warm pavilion. Duan Zhengchun said, "Brother Guo, there is something I must ask you. Please do not be offended." Guo Yanzi replied, "I will not." Duan Zhengchun said, "Might I ask, how was old Master Ke ambushed and murdered? Was he fatally wounded and by punches and kicks, or by martial weaponry?" Suddenly, Guo Yanzi's entire face flushed red. A look of deep shame on his face. He stammered for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. "My respected master was slain by the soft whip technique, the 1,000 rendings of the heavenly spirit. The murderer's power was extremely hard and ferocious. Even my master himself could not. Emperor Baoding, Duan Zhengchun, the yellow-browed monk, and the others exchanged glances. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Hui Zhen walked towards Tui Baichuan and Guo Yanzi. After saluting them, he said, "This humble monk and his brother share the same enmity with you two brothers. If we do not eradicate Gusu's Murong family..." As he came to this point, he halted. Whether or not they could actually wipe out Gusu's Murong family was hard to say. He clenched his teeth. "Then this humble monk will simply give his life to them instead." Tears filling his eyes, Guo Yanzi said, "Shaolin also has a deep enmity with Gusu's Murong family." Huizan gave a brief summary of how his master, Xuanbei, died at the hands of Gusu's Murong family. Guo Yanzi's face was filled with grief and indignation as he listened, and he gnashed his teeth with hate. Cui Baichuan, on the other hand, simply looked crestfallen and was silent, as though the death of his brother was not a matter of great importance at all. Hui Guan said, "Mr. Cui, are you afraid of Gusu's Murong family?" Hui Zhan quickly interjected, "Martial brother, do not be so rude." Cui Baichuan glanced to the east, then to the west, as though he were afraid that the walls might have grown ears or eyes, or as though a powerful enemy had arrived and was about to launch a sneak attack. A look of utter terror was on his face. Hui Guan let out a huh, then muttered to himself, "If a real man is faced with death, then so be it. What's the point of being afraid?" Hui Zhen also did not approve of Cui Baichuan's attitude. Thus, having already reprimanded his martial brother once, he no longer said anything. The yellow-browed monk coughed lightly. "This matter." Cui Baichuan's entire body shuddered. He jumped up, so hurriedly that he overturned his teacup. With a ping and a pong, it crashed to the floor, breaking into tiny pieces. After calming himself down and collecting himself, he noticed that all eyes were on him. He flushed with shame. "Sorry, very sorry." Guo Jianzi knitted his brow, then bent over and began to pick up the broken pieces of the shattered teacup. Duan Zhengchun thought to himself, "This Cui Baichuan fellow is useless." He said to the yellow-browed monk, "Martial brother, what were you going to say?" The yellow-browed monk took another sip of tea, then said unhurriedly, "Benefactor Cui, I take it that you have met Mu Rongbo before?" Upon hearing the three words Mu Rongbo, Cui Baichuan let out a little cry of fear. He's really afraid of this guy, huh? His two arms propping him up on the arms of the chair, he stammered, I never saw him. Wait, I never saw him. I didn't." Hui Guan loudly said, "Mr. Cui, have you met Mu Rongbo before or not?" Cui Baichuan stared towards the sky as though his spirit had fled his body. Duan Zhengchun and all the others were secretly shaking their heads, seeing his martial uncle shame himself in front of all these people. Guo Yanzi felt all the more humiliated and miserable. Only after a long time did Cui Baichuan say, in a quavering voice, "I didn't, it seems that there was this..." The yellow-browed monk interjected, "This humble monk has a personal experience, which I will relate to everyone, so that everyone might know the details. This was something that happened 40 years ago, when I was young and in the prime of my strength. I had just entered the martial world and gained a little bit of fame within the Jianghu. I really was a newborn calf who did not fear a tiger. I felt that despite the vastness of the world, aside from my own master, no one had higher martial arts skill than me. That year, I was escorting a retiring official and his family back to their old homes. We were traveling from Bianliang back to Shandong. At a mountain pass near the Blue Leopard Ridge, we came upon 4 bandits. After they saw us, their first move was not to go after our belongings, but rather for that official's daughter. At the time, I was young and impetuous. Naturally, I showed no mercy with my blows, and every strike was a vicious one. I exercised the power of my Vajra fingers, and drove each finger into an enemy heart with each attack. All 4 of the bandits died before they had so much as a chance to grunt. I really thought that I was something incredible, and began to brag and boast to that retiring official. I said things like, even if 8 or 10 bandits came, I would take their lives with my Vajra finger. At that moment, I heard the sound of hoof steps, and 2 people rode past on a donkey. Suddenly, one of the person on the back of the donkey let out a huh. It was a female's voice, but that huh was filled with contempt and disdain. I turned around and saw a 36-year-old married woman on the donkey. The other person was a 15-year-old lad with delicate and extremely attractive features. Both of them were wearing white mourning clothes, showing great filial piety. That youth said, Ma, what is so impressive about the Vajra finger for someone to come here to brag about it? The origins of the yellow-browed monk, even Emperor Baoding and his brother were not too clear about. Definition of impetuous? Uh-oh. Impetuous? I think it means arrogant. It was young and arrogant. I hope that's what it means. Can't even spell it. Oh, wrong. Impetuous means impulsive, rash, reckless. Oh, damn it, you got me. You got me. You caught me. No. Dun, 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 dun. All right, that's one song. The origins of the yellow-browed monk, even Emperor Baoding and his brother were not too clear about, but everyone here very much respected his display at the 10,000 Calamities Gorge, where he used the power of his Vajra finger to carve out a chessboard, carve out chess moves, and struggle unyieldingly against Crown Prince Yan Qing. His Vajra finger was even more venerated. At this moment, hearing him recount these events, they all thought to themselves that it was just a young, ignorant kid whose words were full of nonsense. They didn't expect that the yellow-browed monk would let out a light sigh before continuing. At that time, I was angry upon hearing these words, but I thought to myself, why be upset over the wild ramblings of a little kid? I glared at him, but paid him no attention, only to hear the woman upbraid him. She said, this person's Vajra fingers comes from the orthodox teachings of the Putian Damo courtyard of Fujian. He's achieved a 30% proficiency in it. What does a little kid like you know? When you strike with your fingers, you aren't as accurate as he is. As I heard this, I was both startled and angry. Very few people of the Jianghu knew where my martial arts originated from. Yet this woman was able to determine it with a single sentence. In addition, she claimed that my Vajra fingers had only reached a level of 30% proficiency. Upbraid definition? Upbraid mean well, she scolded him, right? Yeah. That's the only definition that's possible. She scolded him. Did I spell it wrong? Upbraid. Oh. Braid. Yeah, reprimand, rebuke, reproach, scold. Nice try, Didi. Okay, you only get one word today. Just one word. In addition, she claimed that my Vajra fingers had only reached a level of 30% proficiency. Of course, I couldn't take this lying down. Alas, at that time, I really had no idea. as to how high the heaven is or how deep the earth is, based on my level of actual ability at that time. For someone to say that I had reached 30% proficiency was already giving me too much credit. At most, I had reached perhaps 26 or 27% proficiency. I loudly said, "Madam, what is your respected surname? Your son belittled my Vajra finger. Does he wish to exchange a few stances and pointers with me?" That kid brought the donkey to a halt and was about to respond. Suddenly, the lady's eyes reddened and tears appeared in her eyes. "What words did your father just say to you before he died? Have you already forgotten?" That youth replied, "Understood. I don't dare forget." They spurred the donkey on and galloped forwards. The more I thought about it, the less I could accept their words. I spurred on my own horse to catch up to them. I called out, "Hey, you came here and spewed nonsense about my martial arts, but refused to exchange a few pointers with me. Do you really plan to just get away that easily?" I was riding an extremely fine stallion. As I spoke, I passed by their donkey, then came to a halt in front of them. That woman said to her son, "See, you said a bunch of rubbish, and now other people are upset." That youth was clearly very obedient towards his mother, and did not dare to even glance at me. I saw that they were afraid of me, and thought to myself that they were just a widow and an orphan, with no martial abilities. Why lower myself to their level? But from the woman's words, it seems as though that youth also knew the Vajra finger. It took me over 15 years to begin to master this set of martial arts. How could this little kid possibly know it? Naturally, they were just blowing hot air. I said, "Today, I'll let you guys go. In the future, be more careful when speaking." Spurred definition? Where? They spurred the donkey on. They encouraged the donkey on? Oh, right? They did a little. How do you how do you encourage a donkey on? Do you just slap the sides of your thigh against the donkey? Yeah, they encourage the donkey on. Spurred. Oh, it's literally wait to urge a horse forward. Okay, I think I get that one. I even said to dig your spurs into the sides. I didn't say that exactly, but I think I get that right. You gotta give that to me, right? You gotta. You must. The woman didn't even so much as glance at me. She said to the youth, "The words of this uncle are correct. In the future, be more careful when you speak." It would have been so much better if I had just let the matter drop here. But that time I was young and hot-headed, and did not move my horse away, continuing to block the road. The woman got off the donkey and began to walk in front of it. The youth patted the donkey, then also got off, and began to lead it past me. I let out a big laugh and aimed a blow at the donkey with my whip, saying, "Hurry, scram!" But before my whip reached the foot of the body of the donkey, the youth turned around. With a "ch" sound, he pointed, projecting his internal energy through the air and knocking my whip out of my hand. This terrified me so badly that I was totally stunned. The power of his finger was extremely strong, far surpassing my own. I heard the woman say, "Since you have already attacked, you might as well finish the job." The youth said, "Yes." He turned the donkey around and rushed towards me. Stretching out my left palm, I executed the technique cloud barring hand and pushed towards him. Suddenly, with a "ch" sound, he pointed at me with his finger. I felt some pain on the left side of my chest. Then all my energy left my body. As the yellow-browed monk came to this point in the story, he slowly began to remove his robes, exposing his thin, bony chest. Everyone could see that on the left side of his chest, above his heart, there was a hole roughly an inch deep. Although the hole was long since scabbed over, it was nonetheless clear to everybody how severe the injury he suffered was. Everyone was absolutely astonished that with such a deep wound over his heart, he not only did not die, but had managed to survive to this very day. The yellow-browed monk pointed towards the right side of his chest and said, "Everyone, please take a look." The flesh and skin were slightly undulating upwards and downwards. Only now did everyone realize that his body structure was a bit different from everyone else's. His heart was closer to the right side than the left. The reason he managed to just barely survive was for this reason. The yellow-browed monk once more put on his cloth robes, then continued, "For a person to have a heart like mine is really an extremely rare occurrence. That youth, seeing that I did not immediately die upon being struck by his fingers on my heart, pulled his donkey back a few steps. A look of great surprise was on his face. I saw the blood flowing from my chest, and knew that my life certainly would be lost. I no longer had any fear, and immediately boomed out, 'Little crook, you claim that you know how to use the Vajra finger. Humph, the Vajra finger of the Damo courtyard. Is there such a thing as it injuring the opponent and drawing the opponent's blood, but not taking his life? Your technique is totally wrong. It definitely is not the Vajra finger.' That youth leapt towards me, once more about to strike. At that moment I couldn't defend myself in the slightest. All I could do was stand there and wait for death. I never would have imagined that the woman would suddenly flick her whip and capture her son's arm with it. I dimly and hazily heard her reprimand her son. 'The Murong family of Gusu actually has such a useless scion as you. Since your finger strike was not perfect, you cannot kill this man. I'll punish you for the next 7 days.' As to what sort of punishment she would assign him for the next 7 days, I do not know. By that time, I had already fainted." Okay, so that's the Murong family. They're super good, I guess. Cui Baichuan said in a trembling voice, Master, afterwards, did you ever meet them again?" The yellow-browed monk said, "I am embarrassed to say this, but after that day, I felt extremely downhearted. Such a young man already achieved such great attainment in martial arts. Even if I practice hard for the rest of my life, I might not be able to catch up to him. After the injury to my chest was healed, I left the territory of the Great Song and came to faraway Dali. I hid myself under His Majesty's protection, and after a few years became a monk. Over these many years I have passed beyond the point of caring about life or death, and no longer care about my past honors or humiliations. But when I occasionally think back on that event, my heart cannot help but quiver with fear. I really am like a little bird terrified by the twang of a bowstring." Guan Yu asked, "Master, if that youth lived to this day, he would be in his 60s. He would be Murong Bo, right?" The yellow-browed monk shook his head. "I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't know. As to whether or not the skill he used to attack me truly was the Vajra finger, I also could not tell for sure. I only felt that it seemed somewhat different. But regardless of whether or not it was the Vajra finger, it was extremely powerful, extremely powerful." No one spoke. The disdain they had felt towards Cui Baichuan was mostly gone now. They all thought to themselves that for a martial artist of the yellow-browed monk's caliber to be in dread of Murong Bo, it was excusable for Cui Baichuan to be terrified out of his wits. Cui Baichuan said, "Sir, you have an extremely high status, and yet you do not conceal your past inglories at all. What type of person am I to not speak for fear of being shamed? I was just about to explain to the prince my reasons for hiding myself here. As no one here is an outsider, I will tell everyone the story." Yay, story time. As he said this, his face became extremely agitated. He felt his tongue and his throat become dry. He grabbed his bowl of tea and gulped it down, then took Guo Yanzi's bowl of tea and drank that down as well. Guo Yanzi is his nephew, remember? Cui Baichuan is the guy who's been hiding in the palace for 10 years. Only then could he continue. This event of mine happened 18 years ago. After he said this, he couldn't help but start glancing outside the window again. He calmed himself down, then said, Within the regional capital city of Nanyang, there was a local tyrant, surnamed Tai. He was rich but cruel, and oppressed the common people. A friend of my martial brother and I was framed and harmed by him. His entire family died at Tai's hands. Guo Yanzi said, Martial uncle, are you talking about that crook, Tai Ching Tu? Cui Baichuan said, Right. Whenever your master speaks of Tai Ching Tu, he always gnashes his teeth with hate. Your master wrote many letters of condemnation and complaint to the local officials, but each time Tai Ching Tu would bribe the high officials to suppress and quash the complaints. If your master were to use his soft whip, he would have destroyed Tai Ching Tu in a heartbeat. But although he was a lofty hero in the world of the Jianghu, in his own hometown he had a family and a business. He wasn't willing to break the law. I, Cui Baichuan, was totally different. I thieved chickens and stole dogs, raped and gambled, committed murder and arson. I did everything. That night I couldn't suppress my anger and snuck into Tai Ching Tu's house and wiped out everyone in his household, numbering over 30 people. I started killing at the main gate. I killed all the way until I reached the backyard courtyard. I didn't even spare the female slave gardeners. Entering the courtyard, I saw some light at the window of a small building. I rushed up the building and kicked down the door. It was a study room, and all 4 walls were filled with books. A pair of 2, man and woman, were seated there and were reading. Quash definition? It means like eliminate. Like he eliminated the complaints. Or wait, quash. Yeah, right? Or it could mean it also could mean suppress. I think it's a synonym. But I think quash is like eliminate. Yeah, like put an end to. Suppressed. Yeah, I see it is a synonym. The male was in his 40s and had handsome features. He wore the clothes of a scholar. The woman appeared very young, but as her back was towards me, I didn't see her face. I saw that she wore a light green outer garment. Judging by the candlelight, she seemed quite pretty and charming. God damn it. Up until now, his words had been refined, not at all in keeping with his normal behavior. He stunned everyone in suddenly letting out such an uncouth remark. Swimming in his memories, Cui Baichuan continued. I had just killed 30-odd people in a short amount of time, and was in a great mood. I suddenly saw those 2 bastards, and goddammit, I thought it was weird. Everyone in... Alright. Everyone in Tai Ching Tu's family was vicious and thuggish. Where did these 2 attractive, refined bastards come from? Isn't this like Emperor Tang Ming and Yang Guifei from the opera skits? I thought it was weird, and wasn't planning to immediately kill them. The man said, Wife, everything from Guimei to Wu Wang is not lined up correctly. Guan Yu, upon hearing the words Guimei to Wu Wang, thought to himself, What the heck is this? What is he talking about? After thinking for a moment, he came to a realization. Oh, he means from Guimei to Wu Wang. From tortoise sister to no rashness? What? The man is talking about the I Ching. His interest was aroused. So I think the I Ching is like a Buddhist book. Cui Baichuan continued. That woman muttered to herself for a while, then said, if you go from the northeast corner and slant towards Dagu, then turn at Zizi, is this route possible? Duan Yu thought to himself, elder brother, elder sister? Oh, he means large road and already crossed. Suddenly he was startled all the more. This woman is clearly talking about the steps within the graceful steps upon the waves. Ooh. Her positioning is a bit off though, so she isn't totally correct. Can it be that this woman has some sort of relationship with the dear goddess of the mountain cave? Remember, the graceful steps upon the waves is the martial arts that Duan Yu learned in the mountain cave, right? From that martial arts manual. Cui Baichuan continued. These two kept on talking incessantly, babbling about turtle sisters, brothers-in-law, older sisters, yada yada. I got impatient and yelled, God damn it, both of you bastards, roll the hell out. But both of them acted as though they were deaf and hadn't heard my words at all. They simply continued to stare intently at that book. The woman said in a soft voice, there are 9 steps that need to be taken from here to the elder sister's house. They can't be taken. They can't be taken. I yelled again, take them, take them, take them. Take as many steps as you need to your grandmother's house. I'll send you to meet all 18 generations of your ancestors. Just as I was about to enter the room, that man suddenly clapped his hands and laughed. Brilliant, brilliant. The grandmother is the Kun. 18 generations of ancestors. Hey, 2 times 9 is 18. They should revolve around the Kun position. We've thought through this part of the footwork. Oh, looks like they're making this. They're coming up with this martial arts. This couple, this man and woman. He reached out and grabbed an abacus on the table. I don't know what he did, but suddenly 3 abacus beads flew out towards me. I only felt some pain in my chest, then found my body to be paralyzed and unable to move. These two still ignored me and continued to talk about their little brothers and their little swine. My heart was filled with unspeakable fear. My bandit nickname was the Golden Abacus, because I always carry with me an abacus forged from gold. Hidden within was a secret spring mechanism, which would shoot out 77 abacus beads when the mechanism was activated. But the abacus on the table was an ordinary one, made from mahogany. The bamboo cross pieces of the abacus had been broken into countless pieces. Clearly, he had used his internal energy to shatter the bamboo cross pieces and use his energy to agitate the beads and shoot them out. This display of martial arts prowess really was goddamn incredible. The more the man and the woman spoke, the happier their voices became. I, on the other hand, grew steadily more afraid. I committed over 30 bloody murders in this house, and now I was stuck here, unable to move, unable to speak. It would be all right if I had to pay with my own life for my murders, but if I were found here, I would be implicating my brother Ke as well. The 4 hours that I spent there were more agonizing than that of 10 or 20 years of torture. It wasn't until the chickens began to crow that the man laughed and said, Wife, it looks like we won't be able to figure out the next few steps tonight. Let's go. The woman said, This golden abacus, Master Cui, helped you to come up with such a miraculous solution. We should give him some sort of reward. I was startled once more. So they had known my identity all along. The man said, Since this is the case, let's let him live a few more years. We'll take his life the next time we meet him. He dared to insult you and insult me. We can't just pretend that didn't happen. As he spoke, he picked up his book and sent out a palm and lightly tapped me on the back, unsealing my acupoints. Following this, the 2 of them flew out of the window. I lowered my head and saw that 3 holes had appeared in the chest of my clothes. 3 abacus beads were neatly and perfectly nailed to my chest. Even if one had used a ruler and other tools, it would be extremely difficult to place them so accurately. Look, look. Everyone take a look at my predicament for yourself. And as he spoke, he removed his upper body garments. As everyone looked at him, they couldn't help but laugh. 2 of the abacus beads were planted precisely on top of his nipples, with the other one in between them. Can it be that he wasn't able to think of a way to remove them, despite all these years having passed? Well, he has 3 abacus beads, like in his skin. Cui Baichuan shook his head, rebuttoning his clothes. For these 3 beads to be placed on my body is really a heavy punishment. At first, I wanted to dig them out with a knife, but as soon as I used the slightest bit of force, I agitated my own meridians and passed out. It took 4 hours before I was able to wake up. How about using sandpaper or a filing knife to slowly destroy it? It was still so agonizing that I screamed like a goddamn pig. This punishment has followed my spirit and never left my body. Whenever it is about to rain, these 3 points of my chest are filled with so much unbearable pain, it's more accurate than tortoiseshell divinations. Everyone present was both astonished and amused. Cui Baichuan let out a sigh. This man said that the next time he saw me, he would take my life. I can't let him take my life, but if I ever meet him again, I can't prevent him from taking it either. The only thing I could do was to make sure he would never see me again. I had no other choice but to escape far away. I ended up arriving at the South Subduing Palace. There were many experts here, including Prince Duan, Gao Shengtai, Chu Wanli, and the other bodyguards. Surely they wouldn't stand by and do nothing, and simply watch as my life was taken away. When these 3 beads on my chest began to hurt, I had no choice but to drown the pain in alcohol for a while. No wonder he's a drunkard. Any lofty aspirations, grand ideals, or dreams of becoming a famous man of my time had become totally out of fucking reach, more distant than the 9th level of the heavens. Everyone thought to themselves, this person's situation is largely the same as that of the yellow-browed monk. The only difference is that one left the secular world and became a monk, whereas the other hid his identity and lived in incognito. Guan Yu asked, Mr. Huo, how do you know that those 2 belong to Gusu's Murong lineage? He was used to calling this person Mr. Huo and wasn't able to instantly change his mode of address. Lily V! Thanks so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Cui Baichuan scratched his head and said, That was the hypothesis of my martial brother. After being hit by these 3 abacus beads, I went to discuss the situation with him. He told me that in the Wulin, only Gusu's Murong family would use the opponent's skills, exercising them upon the opponent. Why don't they say it like this? Like, use the opponent's skills against him. It's much easier to say. What's up, Skinny Bruce? Wait, Skinny Bruce Lee? I use abacus beads to attack others, and so he used abacus beads to attack me. Gusu's Murong family isn't a flourishing one. Fuck, it's a good thing there's not a lot of them in this world. If they had thousands of sons and hundreds of grandsons, there would be no others left in the Jianghu. Only their family would be left. These words were extremely disrespectful to Dali's Duan family, but no one cared. He continued. The only famous person from their family is Mu Rongbo. 43 years ago, the kid who used the Vajra finger to harm this respected monk was aged 15 or 16. 18 years ago, the man who drilled these 3 beads into my chest was in his 40s. It seems likely that they both were the same person, Mu Rongbo. I never would have imagined that my martial brother would lose his life to him as well. Yanzi, how did your master offend him? Guo Yanzi replied, "These past few years, my master had been focused on his business. He would often say, 'Harmony brings prosperity.' He never quarreled with anybody. There's no way that he could have offended Gusu's Murong family. We're located in Nanyang. They're located in Suzhou. There's a huge distance between us." Cui Baichuan said, "Most likely, Murongbo wasn't able to find me, shrinking, cowardly turtle that I am, and went to ask your master for my location. Your master was a loyal, filial man. He would rather die than reveal my location, and lost his life under Murongbo's hands. Brother Ke, I harmed you." As he spoke, tears began to fall from his eyes, and he had a runny nose. Sobbing, he said, "Murongbo, Bo, I'll rip your skin off." After crying for a bit, he turned to Duan Zhengchun and said, "Prince Duan, all I have to say, I have. Thank you for taking care of me over the past few years and not exposing my identity. I feel extremely grateful towards you, but it will be difficult for me to repay you. I am heading to Gusu right now." Astonished, Duan Zhengchun said, "You are going to Gusu?" Cui Baichuan said, "Right. My martial brother and I are as close as blood brothers. How can I not avenge his murder? Yanzi, let's go." As he spoke, he clasped his hands towards every person, then turned around and left. Guo Yanzi also paid his respects to everyone present, then followed him out. This turn of events was completely out of everyone's expectations. They saw how terrified Cui Baichuan was of Gusu's Murong family, but when he spoke of going to avenge his martial brother, despite the fact that he knew he was going to his death, he didn't show an iota of fear. Everyone secretly felt respect for him within their hearts. Duan Zhengchun called out, "Gentlemen, please wait. Brother Guo has traveled such a long distance to get here. Please take a night's rest at my humble abode first, then leave on the morrow." Cui Baichuan halted, turned around, and said, "Yes, we'll follow your orders, Prince, and trouble you for one last meal. Yanzi, let's go drinking." He led Guo Yanzi away. Emperor Baoding said to Duan Zhengchun, "Brother Chun, tomorrow go with ministers Hua, Fan, and Ba to the Shanjie Monastery of Luliang Prefecture. Hold a memorial service on my behalf for Master Xuanbei." Duan Zhengchun agreed. Heijun and Huiguan kowtowed, showing their thanks. Emperor Baoding said to Duan Zhengchun, "After paying your respects to Abbot Wu Yu, wait at the Shanjie Monastery for the arrival of the other master monks of Shaolin. Then give them my return letter for Abbot Xuanzi." He said to Ba Tianxi, "Prepare a pair of letters. One will go to Abbot Xuanzi, the other will go to Abbot Wu Yu. Also prepare gifts for both of them." Ba Tianxi bowed and acknowledged the order. Emperor Baoding continued, "Escort these two eminent monks to their rooms so that they can have some rest." After Ba Tianxi escorted Huizhen and Huiguan out, Emperor Baoding said, "Dali's Duan family came from the Wulin of the Central Plains. We have never dared to forget our origins, despite the passage of centuries. When friends from the Wulin of the Central Plains come here, we always happily welcome them, with lavish ceremony. But our ancestors laid down an extremely strict rule. The scions of the Duan family are completely forbidden from getting involved in the enmities of the Jianghu of the Central Plains. Although we will not and cannot ignore the death of Master Xuanbei, we will leave the question of getting revenge up to Shaolin. We cannot interfere." Duan Zhengchun said, "Yes, your brother understands." The yellow-browed monk said, "It really is very difficult to decide what our proper course of action here is. We must assist Shaolin, but we cannot get involved in any revenge killings. Although Gusu's Murong family does not have many people, as a famous aristocratic Wulin family, they certainly have a huge number of friends and affiliates. For Shaolin to be open enemies of Gusu's Murong family would be a shocking, earth-shattering event of Wulin, Blood will spray like rain, and the wind will reek of flesh. Who knows how many people will perish? For the past few years, the country of Dali has been peaceful and prosperous. If we get too deeply involved in this spat, I'm afraid that in future years there will be many people who come to Dali for the purpose of settling scores. Emperor Baoding said, Master, your words are most correct. Our only option is to act totally in accordance with the righteous path, while also showing as much forbearance as we can. Brother Chun, you must always remember these 4 words. Maintain righteousness, exercise forbearance. Duan Zhengchun cupped his hands in acknowledgement of the lesson. Let's take a 5-minute break, guys. My voice needs a break. Alright, guys. 5 minutes. I'll be right back. And we're back. These stories are good after a long night of work. Very different to your usual books. What's your usual books? I usually read sci-fi, honestly. Alright, so looks like this Murong family is bad news. They're going around killing people. The yellow-browed monk said, My 2 worthy brothers, I must depart now. I need to take a stroll at the 10,000 Calamities Gorge. Everyone was astonished. Emperor Baoding said, Martial brother, what business do you have at the 10,000 Calamities Gorge? Who do you want to take with you? The yellow-browed monk laughed. I won't even take my 2 disciples. My 2 worthy brothers, why don't you try to guess why I am going there? Seeing a cheerful smile on his face, Emperor Baoding and Duan Zhengchun felt that it probably wasn't some dangerous affair, and yet they still weren't able to guess what it might be. The yellow-browed monk smiled towards Duan Yu. Worthy nephew, I'll wager you can guess what it is. You're trying to get me to read Lord of the Rings? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I tried 3 times, and I'm not gonna try it a 4th. Are these chapters getting really long? It seems really long. They're getting much longer. Duan Yu was startled. Why is it that I can guess what it is, despite my uncle and father being unable to? But suddenly the answer came to him. Laughing, he said, Master, you are going to investigate that game of chess. The yellow-browed monk laughed loudly. Precisely. I have no idea as to how precisely I defeated Crown Prince Yanqing in that game of chess. Why did he kill one of his own eyes? Duan Yu shook his head. I don't know either. Duan Yu doesn't know that he was sucking the guy's chi, causing him to lose the game. The yellow-browed monk said, Can it be that there was some oddity within the stone house, or on the blue stone? This humble monk must go take a second look. For students of chess, after each game, regardless of victory or defeat, they would go and ponder and deliberate the moves of that match. They would consider where they made weak moves or unwise moves, or where they attacked too aggressively or moved too sluggishly. They wouldn't feel comfortable until after they had totally understood the intricacies of the game. Not to mention, the yellow-browed monk won this game of chess in an extremely strange manner. If he couldn't discover the secret to this game of chess, it would most likely vex him for the rest of his life. Emperor Baoding immediately returned to his own palace. The yellow-browed monk instructed his 2 disciples to return to the flower-gathering monastery, then went by himself to the 10,000 Calamities Gorge. He reassembled the blue stone chessboard, which was shattered by Crown Prince Yanqing, and began pondering each move step by step. After escorting Emperor Baoding and the yellow-browed monk out of the palace, Duan Zhengchun returned to his own room, intending to discuss the day's events with his wife. Unfortunately, Dao Baifeng, still angry with him over the discovery that he had another illegitimate daughter in the form of Zhongling, had locked the door and wouldn't let him in. Duan Zhengchun begged for her from outside to open up for a long time. She replied, "If you don't leave immediately, I'm going back to the Hollow Jade Monastery." Helpless, Duan Zhengchun could only return to the study room, sitting down gloomily. He suddenly thought of Zhongling and wondered if Zhong Wanchou and the divine crocodile could rescue her. Xu Wanli and the others had left to investigate, but hadn't returned to make a report yet. His mind was uneasy. He stroked the golden box which Gan Baobao had returned to him. Staring at her slender, fine handwriting, his mind returned to a time 17 years past, where the two of them had shared joy and happiness so overwhelming it had penetrated to their marrows. Then he thought of how she had painfully waited for him for so long before she finally was forced to marry Zhong Wanchou. He couldn't help but feel a deep ache in his heart. At that time, she was only a 17-year-old girl. Her parents had always treated her unkindly. She was carrying my child within her, out of wedlock. What else could she do? The more he thought, the more miserable he felt. Suddenly, he remembered the words which Dao Baifeng had earlier said to Minister Hua. "This tunnel passes by Madame Zhang's bedroom. If you don't collapse it, I'm afraid that one of the gentlemen currently present will henceforth go tunnel his way there every night from now on." He immediately ordered one of his servants to secretly summon two of Minister Hua's most able family warriors, admonishing him to keep everything secret. Within his own study room, Duan Yu's mind was fully occupied with running through all the strange events which had recently transpired. First, his wedding engagement with Mu Wanqing, then his discovery that she was his sister. Oh good, this is a summary of what had happened so far. Even more bizarre, Zhongling was also his sister. Zhongling had been kidnapped by Yun Zhonghe, and whether or not she had escaped his clutches was as of yet unknown. His heart was filled with worry. Then he thought of Mu Rongbo and his wife, studying the art of the graceful steps upon the waves. He wondered what sort of connection they might have with his dear goddess from the cave. Could it be that they were disciples of the Xiao Yao sect? Are they the people whom the dear goddess has ordered me to kill? Have they attained such an incredibly high level of martial arts? They have attained such an incredibly high level of martial arts. For someone to expect me to try and kill them will be a joke of colossal proportions. His mind wandered to his imprisonment within the stone house. Thank goodness he hadn't committed any incestuous acts. It was really a stroke of luck. In addition, he had become much more familiar with the footwork of the graceful steps upon the waves as well. However, he had been slacking with regards to doing the homework which the dear goddess had assigned him. He immediately reached within his bosom, intending to pull the manuscript out. As soon as his fingers brushed the surface, he realized that something was wrong. He quickly extracted the manuscript, then let out a series of cries. "Ayo! Ayo! Ayo!" The scroll had long since been torn into many scattered pieces. Upon unwrapping it, he found that all the pieces were jumbled together. How could this be readable at all? One of the shattered pieces of parchment, perhaps only 30% of the original, remained. The damage done to the actual diagrams and instructions was even more severe. Duan Yu's entire body trembled, as though he had been thrown into a room built of ice. He thought to himself, How could this have happened? Only after a long time had passed did he vaguely recollect that after being imprisoned by the man in green, his entire body had suddenly turned unbearably hot. He had wildly ripped and torn at his clothes. Later, as he ran and jumped about madly, he had continued to wildly tear at his clothes. In his dazed state, how could he tell the difference between clothes and manuscript? Naturally, he tore at everything, ripping them to little pieces and casting them aside. Oh no, he tore the book. He tore the book. What the hell? Wait, did he learn all the martial arts? Or did he only learn a little bit? I hope he learned all the martial arts. He stared stupidly at the image of the naked girl on the scroll, whose arms and legs had been torn off with the parchment they were drawn upon, and yet there was a feeling of relief in his heart as well. The manuscript has been destroyed. I can no longer learn the martial arts written within it. Oh no! Oh no, he missed out on the rest of the martial arts. It's not that I refuse to obey dear goddess's orders, but I am unable to. All that stuff about exterminating the disciples of the Xiao Yao sect no longer apply. He threw the remaining scraps of parchment into the fireplace, then lit the fire and burned them to ash. He thought to himself, the naked pictures are badly damaged. Each time I look at them, I would be profaning the memory of the dear goddess. It is heaven's will that it be destroyed in flames. He saw that it was now late at night and headed to his mother's room. He wanted to have a good conversation with her and share a meal. Arriving at her room, he saw that the door was shut tightly. The female servant in charge of waiting on the princess giggled. The princess is sleeping. Please come back tomorrow. Duan Yu thought to himself, oh, right, father must be inside. Turning away, he left, intending to find Mu Wanqing and have a conversation with her instead. But after taking a few steps, he decided that it would be best for him to avoid her for now. For him to visit her now would only make her feel sadder. Bored and aimless, he strolled towards the inner garden. By now the moon appeared. He sat for a while at the pavilion by the side of the pond, watching as the curved crescent moon rose up into the sky from the east. He thought to himself that at this moment the moonlight would also be descending upon the jade cliffs at Mount Wuliang. After a few more hours, a multicolored longsword would appear on those jade cliffs, pointing to the abode of the dear goddess. Just as he was beginning to fall into a spellbound trance, he heard a soft whistle come from outside of the walls. Listening, he heard the sound a few more times. In the past, he wouldn't have paid such a thing any mind. But in the past few days, he had undergone many things and broadened his experiences. He thought to himself, can it be that a person of the Jianghu is sending a secret signal? After a short period of time, the whistle came again. Suddenly, a shadow flashed by the peony flower terrace. As it reached the wall, it leapt on top of it. Duan Yu involuntarily cried out, Sister Wan! The person was Mu Wanqing. He watched as she leapt down from the wall to the other side. Duan Yu cried out a second time, Sister Wan! He rushed to the spot where Mu Wanqing had leapt onto the wall, but he himself, of course, didn't have that sort of ability. There was a door next to him, leading out of the garden, but it was bolted and locked shut with an iron padlock. He could do nothing but loudly shout, Sister Wan! Sister Wan! Only to hear Mu Wanqing loudly shout back from the other side of the wall, Why do you keep on calling my name? I never want to see you again. I'm leaving with my mom. Duan Yu anxiously said, Don't leave. No matter what, you mustn't leave. Mu Wanqing did not reply. After a while, he heard the voice of an older woman say from the other side, Wan-er, let's go. Alas, it's useless. Mu Wanqing was silent still. Duan Yu knew that this woman must be Qin Hongmian. He shouted, Aunt Qin, please, come in. Qin Hongmian said, Come in? For what purpose? So that your mother can kill me? Duan Yu wasn't able to formulate a reply. He hit the door hard, calling out, Sister Wan, don't go. Let's slowly think of an idea. Mu Wanqing replied, What idea can we come up with? Heaven itself has no ideas. After pondering a moment, she called out, I have an idea. Are you interested? Duan Yu happily replied, Great. What's the plan? With two chi sounds, the blade of a thin blue saber was inserted within the openings at the side of the doorway. then cut the hinges off. Following that, with a pair of punch sounds, the gate was pushed open. Mu Wanqing stood in the doorway. Within her hands, she held that thin blue Asura saber. She said, "Stretch out your neck and let me chop it in half. Then I'll immediately kill myself. When we reincarnate, we won't be brother and sister. That way, we can become man and wife." Now, is that how it works? Guan Yu was so frightened that he was stupefied. In a quavering voice, he replied, This isn't workable." Mu Wanqing said, "I'm willing. Why aren't you? Alternately, you can kill me first, then take your own life." As she spoke, she handed an Asura saber over towards him. Guan Yu hurriedly took 2 steps back. No way! No way! Mu Wanqing slowly turned around. Grasping her mother's arm, she quickly walked away. Guan Yu blankly stared at their silhouettes as their silhouettes disappeared within the darkness of the night. For a long, long time, he did not move. Slowly, the moon rose until it was in the middle of the sky, but he continued to stand there without moving. He suddenly felt a tightness at the back of his neck, and then he was lifted up in the sky by someone. A quiet voice laughed. "Do you want to die, or do you want to live? If you want to be my master, you'll be a dead master. But if you're willing to be my apprentice, you'll be a living apprentice." It was the divine crocodile's voice. Oh, this guy again. Guan Zhengchun, with 2 of Hua Hegen's most skilled subordinates, swiftly rode to the 10,000 Calamities Gorge. These 2 subordinates, having helped Hua Hegen dig the tunnel, knew where the entrance to it was. They led him to it, then shifted away the branches and twigs which they had used to camouflage the entrance. One of them said, "Let this humble one guide you." Guan Zhengchun said, "No need. The 2 of you shall just wait here for me." Oh, he wants to visit his old lover. Just as he was about to crawl into the tunnel, he suddenly saw a shadow flash by from behind a large tree to the west. The movement was extremely quick. Guan Zhengchun immediately utilized his energy and charged over there. He cried out in a low voice, "Who are you?" Behind the large tree, a man whispered back, "Prince, I am Cui Bai Chuan." Oh, he stepped out from behind the tree. Surprised, Guan Zhengchun said, "Brother Cui, what are you doing here?" Cui Bai Chuan said, "This humble one heard that your honored daughter had been abducted. I came with my martial nephew Guo in order to look for her. I saw some clues on the road and deduced that the young miss most likely fled back here. But that villain is continuing to pursue her and not letting up." Guan Zhengchun's mind was suddenly enlightened. This Cui Bai Chuan is a man who distinguishes between benevolence and mistreatment. He had hidden himself in my manor for all these years, and consequently feels that he owes me a debt of gratitude. He is about to go seek out Gusu's Murong family for revenge. This is tantamount to throwing his life away. He hoped to be able to find my daughter Ling and in this way repay the gift of protection which I had given him for the past 10 years or so. He immediately bowed deeply. Brother Cui, I can't thank you enough for the righteousness you have displayed. Cui Baichuan replied, I'll go search for her over there. In a flash, he entered the forested woods, demonstrating an exceptionally capable skill in Qinggong. Duan Zhengchun thought to himself, Brother Cui's martial arts is not inferior at all to Wan Li or Dan Chen. Returning to the tunnel entrance, he entered the tunnel. After crawling for a while, he came to a fork in the tunnel. The two subordinates had already told him earlier that the northeastern tunnel led to the stone house which had previously imprisoned Duan Yu and Mu Wanqing, and that the northwestern tunnel led to Madame Zhong's bedroom. He immediately crawled in the northwestern direction. Visiting Madame Zhong. Arriving at the end of the tunnel, he gently lifted up the board above his head by a few inches. Bright light appeared before him. He slowly peered into the crack, only to see a pair of purple, flower-embroidered shoes resting on the floor. Guan Zhengchun felt a great shock in his heart and pushed the board up another 2 inches. He heard Gan Baobao let out a long sigh. After a while, she quietly said, "If you weren't a prince, but were instead a farmer or a hunter or a philandering little thief or a bandit who plundered homes, I would still have followed you. I would have followed you my entire life." Following this, a few teardrops fell, descending on the floorboard next to her flower-embroidered shoes. Oh no, she's still in love. Guan Zhengchun felt a gush of warmth, of warm feeling rise from the pit of his stomach. He thought to himself, "I won't be a prince anymore. I'll be a thief or a bandit and have you follow me for the rest of your life. What's so good about being a prince anyhow?" This guy falls in love with every woman that's next to him. Everyone he meets. He just forgets about everyone else at that moment. Only to hear Gan Baobao continue, Can it be that I really will never see you again for the rest of my life? Not even once? I'm better off dead. Brother Chun, do you miss me at all?" These soft laments were truly heart-rending and deeply moving. Guan Zhengchun couldn't resist from quietly whispering, "Bao Bao, my beloved Bao Bao." Gan Bao Bao was startled. She stood up, then immediately let out a sigh. She mumbled to herself, "I'm dreaming again. I dreamed that you were calling to me." The guy's brain is in his pee-pee. Truth. Guan Zhengchun said in a low voice, "Beloved Bao Bao, I really am calling out to you. I've always been thinking of you and missing you." Gan Bao Bao let out a startled cry. "Brother Chun, is it really you?" Guan Zhengchun pushed the floorboards aside and crawled out. In a low voice, he said, "Beloved Bao Bao, it really is me." Gan Bao Bao, upon suddenly seeing Guan Zhengchun appear before her, lost all color in her face. She took a few steps forward, her entire body trembling. Guan Zhengchun rushed forwards and embraced her in his arms. Gan Bao Bao's body suddenly swayed, and then she passed out. Guan Zhengchun hurriedly massaged her Ranzhong acupoint. Oh, I thought he was massaging something else. Slowly, Gan Bao Bao began to come to. She felt that her body was in Guan Zhengchun's embrace while he was kissing her face. She was filled with such joy that her entire body was about to explode from it. Her mind in a daze, she whispered, Brother Chun, I'm dreaming again." Guan Zhengchun tightly embraced her warm, soft body. He whispered in her ear, "Beloved Bao Bao, you aren't dreaming. I'm the one dreaming." Suddenly, a coarse voice erupted from outside the door. Who's inside the room? I heard a male voice." It was Zhang Wanchou's voice. Uh-oh. Guan Zhengchun and Gan Bao Bao were both startled. Gan Bao Bao loudly replied, "I'm inside. What's this nonsense about a male voice or a female voice? You're babbling again." Guan Zhengchun whispered into her ear, "Run away with me. I'll be a thief or a bandit. I won't be a prince anymore." Absolutely jubilant, Gan Bao Bao whispered back, "I'll be a thief's wife or a bandit's wife. Even if it's just for one day, it would be wonderful." Without his wife's permission, Zhang Wanchou didn't dare to enter his wife's room, but from a window he saw a man's shadow inside the room. No. He loudly cried out, "You have a man inside your room! I see him!" He no longer cared about whether or not his wife had given permission and knocked the door open with a flying kick. Wait, why are we moving to another scene? The back of Don Yu's neck had been seized by the divine crocodile. Held up in midair, he couldn't move in the slightest. He had only finished practicing one part of the divine art of the northern darkness, the Shou Tai Yin Fei part. he could only use the Shaosheng acupoint on his thumb to fight with people. In addition, the opponent was using all his might in seizing him. How could he drain his energy away with all of his other acupoints unable to draw internal energy? He was just about to shout, but the divine crocodile stretched out his left hand and covered his mouth. Holding him, the divine crocodile raced away. He did not stop until he had arrived in a quiet, secluded place, far away from the south-subduing palace. He put Duan Yu back down, but did not release the back of his neck, fearing that if he did, Duan Yu would utilize that bizarre set of footwork to flee. Duan Yu let out a bitter smile. Evidently, you changed your mind. You don't want to be my disciple after all. You'd rather be a bastard son of a turtle. The divine crocodile replied, Says who? First, return me to my 8 kowtows and expel me from your sect, releasing me from your tutelage. Then kowtow to me 8 more times and accept me as your master. We'll do this orderly and by the book. That way, there'll be no issue of me being a bastard son of a turtle. Duan Yu couldn't help but laugh silently to himself. No way. At this moment, I've been captured by you and don't have the ability to defend myself. Go ahead and kill me. The divine crocodile spat. Bah! I won't fall for your trick. Your old man definitely won't kill you while you are helpless and give people a reason to call me a bastard son of a turtle. Do you think I'm stupid or something? Duan Yu replied, You are so sharp, so extremely smart. The divine crocodile had come up with a brilliant plan that would allow him to flawlessly and properly achieve his heart's desire in terms of formalities. How could he have known that the other person would rather die than kowtow to him 18 times? The brilliant plan he had spent days concocting was now totally useless. He couldn't help but feel extremely anxious and indecisive. Duan Yu said, According to the rules of the Southern Seas sect, can a disciple kill his own master? The divine crocodile replied, Of course he can't. A master can kill his disciple, but a disciple killing his master is unheard of. Duan Yu continued, So does a disciple have to listen to and obey his master? Or does the master have to obey his disciple? The divine crocodile replied, Naturally, the disciple has to obey the master. After you accept me as your master, you'll need to obey me in all things. Duan Yu laughed. Right now, you are still my disciple. I told you to go rescue your master wife. Have you accomplished this or not? The divine crocodile said, Fuck! I started to fight with number 4 just as my master wife's old man rushed over. He took the opportunity to seize her back. Duan Yu, hearing that Zhong Ling had already escaped Yun Zhonghe's vile grasp, was filled with joy. The divine crocodile continued, Next, I started to fight with my master wife's old man. After we battled for a bit, he didn't want to fight anymore. My master wife had already run away as well. Number 4 said that we should go to the 10,000 Calamities Gorge and kill Zhang Wanchou. Duan Yu asked, Why's that? The divine crocodile replied, This important task cannot go undone. Otherwise, your number 2, will never be able to raise my head in the Jianghu ever again and be looked down upon by everyone. Baffled, Duan Yu said, What type of logic is that? Number 4 was just messing with you. You don't need to listen to him. The divine crocodile replied, No. The number 4 is looking after my well-being. If you don't understand the logic of this, let me instruct you. That little girl is now my master wife, putting her a generation up above me. That means her old man is 2 generations above me. Fuck, what kind of shitty creature is Zhang Wanchou for him to be 2 generations my senior? I gotta kill him. Number 4 also said that the reason he was planning to kill Zhang Wanchou and steal his wife was because of his loyalty to our group, the 4 Great Evils. He was totally doing this for my sake, charging ahead without caring about his own safety and risking everything for me. Duan Yu was all the more baffled. He asked, How so? Zhang Wanshou's wife, being my master wife's mother, is also 2 generations above me. But if number 4 made her his wife instead, she would become the wife of the junior brother of I. Yeah, number 2. That would make her my sister-in-law. Her daughter would naturally be a generation beneath me, making her my niece. You would be my niece's husband, making you my nephew-in-law. Naturally, you'll also be 1 generation lower than me. I'd address you as master, and you'd address me as uncle. Wouldn't that put both of us in a great position? Ha ha! What a brilliant plan. I didn't get any of that. Guan Yu burst into loud laughter. The divine crocodile said, let's go. Let's quickly go and take care of this important bit of business. There can never be a person in the world who is 2 generations above Yue number 2. Grabbing Duan by the hand, he flew towards the direction of the 10,000 Calamities Gorge. Duan Zhengchun heard Zhang Wanshou kick down the door to enter the room. Okay, we're back here. A thought flashed by his mind. I can't kill him. He gently pried himself loose from Gan Baobao's embrace and jumped back into the tunnel, hurriedly replacing the wooden board. Wow, he's fast. He jumped back into the tunnel, like, immediately. With his large saber in hand, Zhang Wanshou rushed into the bedroom, only to see Gan Baobao by herself in the room. He hurriedly checked the wardrobe, underneath the bed, and behind the door. He checked every conceivable place where a person might hide. Forget about finding a male, he wasn't even able to find half the shadow of a ghost. He was filled with total astonishment. Gan Baobao furiously said, You've come to bully me again. Quick, just go ahead and kill me cleanly with the cut of your saber. Not finding a man inside the room, Zhang Wanshou had been filled with happiness. He hurriedly threw aside his saber and laughed heartily. Wife, my vision must have been blurry. I must have drank a few too many cups of wine earlier. But even as he was saying this, he continued to peer here and there. Suddenly, the sound of frantic footsteps came from outside. Zhongling cried loudly, Mother! Mother! She flew into the room. Yun Zhonghe's voice, this is number 4, pursued her in. Even if you run to the ends of the world, I'll find and capture you. With quick footsteps, he followed her in. Yeah, the divine crocodile does not want to be under anyone, right? His status is very important. Ah! Alright, another break, guys. I think this chapter is like really long because my voice is going. Alright. I'll be right back. 5 minutes. And we're back. We're back. Alright. Yay, we see Zhongling again. Let's see what happened. Oh, you like that song? That's a pretty good one. Gonna bump your head to this in the car? Hell yeah. Alright, so what's happening to Zhongling? Zhongling cried out, Daddy, this bad man is chasing me again. In the course of running away from Yun Zhonghe, she had long since exhausted herself. Fortunately, she was familiar with every nook and cranny of her own home, and so was able to dodge here and hide there. Yun Zhonghe, on the other hand, in this twisting maze of secret paths and passageways, wasn't able to utilize his Qinggong abilities fully. This was the only reason she was able to escape into her mother's bedroom. Yun Zhonghe, seeing both Zhang Wanshou and his wife in the room, was very pleasantly surprised. He thought to himself that this was an excellent opportunity to kill Zhang Wanshou. then carry off both Madame Zhong and Zhongling. Zhong Wanchou fired off 3 palms in a row, but all 3 were sidestepped by Yun Zhonghe. Yun Zhonghe circled past the table to pursue Zhongling. He thought to himself, first let me take care of this little girl. The next step after that would be to kill her father and capture her mother. That way I won't give her a chance to run away. Remember, this guy, even though this guy is the 4th evil, he's still an evil dude. Zhongling cried out, hey, you bamboo pole, if you keep on chasing me, I'm going to start tickling you. What? Yun Zhonghe was startled and called out, you'll tickle me? I'd like to see you try. As he spoke, he threw himself through the air towards her. That day, when Zhongling had been abducted by Yun Zhonghe, she had struggled with all her might, but how could she escape his grasp? She was terrified to death. She heard the divine crocodile rush after them from far away, and heard him loudly call out, Master wife, stretch out your hand and scratch his armpit. This skinny bamboo pole is terrified of being tickled. Oh, really? Is that his weakness? Getting tickled? Zhongling thought to herself, tickling? I'm an expert at that skill. Stretching out her hand, she was just about to tickle his armpit, but Yun Zhonghe had also heard the divine crocodile's shout. Even before she had started to tickle him, he couldn't help but begin to laugh. While laughing, he was no longer able to run as quickly as before, and the divine crocodile was able to catch up to him. Yun Zhonghe said, you at number 3, you've fallen for that guy's tricks. The divine crocodile retorted, what are you babbling about? Tricks this and tricks that. Hurry up and let go of my master wife, or I'll give you a taste of my crocodile fang scissors. Out of options, Yun Zhonghe was forced to put Zhongling down. Catching him off guard, Zhongling started to tickle him. Turning his waist away, Yun Zhonghe laughed so hard that he ran out of breath. Okay, he's really susceptible to tickling. The more he laughed, the more vigorously Zhongling tickled. Between laughs, Yun Zhonghe began to cough. The divine crocodile said, Master wife, please spare him. If you keep on doing this, and if this goes on for much longer, he'll suffocate to death from laughter. Zhongling thought this was really bizarre. This evil person's martial arts skill was of such a high level. How could he be literally tickled to death by someone? She replied, I don't believe you. I want to try and see if he can really be tickled to death. The divine crocodile said, that won't do. If you tickle him to death, he won't be able to come to life again. The weak spot of Yun Zhonghe's martial arts is at the Tian Chan acupoint, underneath his armpit. It can't be touched. Upon hearing his words, Zhongling ceased her assault on the crook of his armpit. Yun Zhonghe rose to his feet, then suddenly spat towards the divine crocodile. He cursed, You damn crocodile, you ugly alligator! Why'd you expose the weak spot of my martial arts to an outsider? Zhongling said, Wow, now you're cussing at people? She stretched out her hand to tickle him again, but unexpectedly it didn't work this time. Yun Zhonghe sent out a flying kick that sent her flying far away. The divine crocodile helped Zhongling stand up. He said, Master wife, does it hurt? Before Zhongling had a chance to respond, Zhong Wanchou rushed towards them, his large saber in hand. He cried out, Stupid girl! What's the point of you dying here? Oh, her dad is still mad at her. Technically not her dad, but he doesn't know that. The divine crocodile turned his head and barked out, Fuck, man! Why the hell are you screaming obscenities? Zhong Wanchou angrily replied, I'm scolding my daughter. What the hell does it have to do with you? The divine crocodile was totally enraged. Pointing at Zhong Wanchou, he roared, You thieving dog! You want to take advantage of me? You're number 2. I'm going to go all out on you. Zhong Wanchou replied, How am I taking advantage of you? She's my master wife. That means she's a generation above me. There's nothing I can do about that. But you dare to call yourself her father. Doesn't this mean you're 2 generations above me? Your number 2 is a respected senior in the southern seas. Everyone politely addresses me as grandpa or ancestor. But ever since I arrived at the Central Plains, I've become a generation or 2 lower than everybody. This old man won't stand for it. I won't stand for it, no matter what. Zhang Wanshou replied, If you won't stand for it, then you won't stand for it. She's my birth daughter. That naturally makes me her old man. What's this crap about calling myself her father? The divine crocodile craned his head to glance at both him and his daughter, and said, Naturally, you're calling yourself her old man. My master wife is spectacularly beautiful, but you're as ugly as sin. True. How could you possibly be her old man? She definitely wasn't conceived by you. She was conceived by some other bloke. You're not really her old man. You're a fake old man. Listening to his words, Zhang Wanshou was so enraged that his face turned black with rage. Raising up his saber, he chopped at the divine crocodile. Zhongling hurriedly said, Daddy, this person rescued me from the hands of that bad man. Don't kill him. The flames of Zhang Wanshou's fury towered above the sky. He roared out, Damn, girl, I always suspected that you weren't really my daughter. Oh. He knew. He knew. Even this huge dumbass knows it to be true. How can it be false? First, I'll kill him, then I'll kill you, and last of all, I'll kill your mother. Zhongling saw that the two had begun to fight, and that victory or defeat would take some time to be determined. She loudly cried out, Hey, you're number 3. You aren't allowed to hurt my daddy. She called out again, Daddy, you can't hurt Yuan number 3. Then she walked away. Oh, okay. That fixed it. By the time she reached the 10,000 Calamities Gorge, she was totally exhausted. As soon as she arrived at her own room, she immediately fell asleep. She remained asleep until midnight, when she was awoken by Yun Zhonghe's shouts and calls. He was searching through every single room, one after the other. She had hurriedly gotten up and ran away. At this time, Zhongling suspected that she wouldn't be able to get close enough to Yun Zhonghe to tickle him without being captured. She suddenly saw the plank covering the tunnel. Remembering how she was kidnapped via this tunnel by Hua He-gun, she immediately ran over there and lifted up the wooden plank, then threw herself into the tunnel. Yun Zhonghe hurriedly jumped in after her. After crawling for less than 10 feet, his hand suddenly fell upon a thin, slender ankle. He heard Zhongling call out, Hey, yo! Kicking frantically, she tried to kick him loose, but how could Yun Zhonghe, as ecstatic as he was, let her go? Exerting some of his upper body strength, he gave a strong pull, trying to pull her towards him. But, unexpectedly, Zhongling let out another cry of, Hey, yo! And didn't budge in the slightest. It seemed as though someone in front of her had grabbed her as well. At this moment, Yun Zhonghe felt a tight grasp settle around his own 2 ankles, and was himself being pulled out by someone else. He heard Zhang Wanshou call out, Get out! Get out! Zhang Wanshou, worried about his daughter, had also rushed into the tunnel. Zhang Wanshou gave 2 tugs, but was unable to budge him. He was just about to exercise his strength when he too felt his ankles being seized by someone else. A surge of energy ran through his body, trying to pull him out. The divine crocodile's hoarse voice was heard. You ugly, horse-faced bastard! How dare you call yourself my master wife's father? You want to put yourself 2 generations above me? I'm going to kill you today, no matter what. As it were, the divine crocodile had just arrived, with Duan Yu in tow. From outside the room, he had watched as Zhongling, Yun Zhonghe, and Zhang Wanshou successively jumped into the hole. He thought to himself that there was nothing more important at this moment in time than killing this fellow who dares calls himself my master wife's daughter. He immediately rushed into the house and jumped into the tunnel as well, seizing hold of Zhang Wanshou's feet. Duan Yu hurriedly rushed into the room as well. He said to Madame Zhang, Aunt Zhang, the important thing right now is to help little sister Zhongling. Just as he was about to jump into the tunnel as well, somebody suddenly gave his body a push. He immediately fell down. A female voice cried out, "Number 3, number 4, get out of there now. Our leader has sent instructions forbidding you guys from killing each other." It was no evil left undone. Yu Erniang. This is evil number 2. She had received orders from Duan Yanqing to come and collect Yun Zhonghe and the divine crocodile, but she had arrived a bit late and saw Yun Zhonghe wriggling into the tunnel, followed shortly by Zhong Wanqiu and the divine crocodile. She knew that earlier the divine crocodile was trying to pursue and kill Yun Zhonghe, but Yun Zhonghe's martial arts was inferior to the divine crocodile. If he were to be really killed, their leader would definitely be absolutely infuriated. After calling out a few more times and seeing that the divine crocodile did not respond, she too jumped into the hole after them. Grabbing the croc's feet, she prepared to exert her strength and pull him out. Duan Yu cried out, Hey, you guys can't kill Sister Zhongling. Originally, she was my fiancée. Now she's my sister." But the cries and shouts coming from the tunnel were chaotic and muddled. He couldn't tell who was calling out what. He thought to himself that with 3 of the most evil people in the world in that tunnel, Zhongling was in a very precarious situation. He felt that she had treated him with loyalty and affection. Even though he did not know martial arts, he was willing to stake his life in order to rescue her. He immediately threw himself towards the tunnel opening. Grabbing onto Yu Erniang's ankles, he prepared to pull her out. Oh no. He's gonna suck her chi, isn't he? As he clenched his hands around her ankles, his hands naturally settled around the location on Yu Erniang's ankles, known as the Shou Yi Shu. This was the location of a major acupoint, the San Yin Jiao acupoint. The intersections were, oh my god. The intersections were of the and the Shaoshang acupoint of his thumb was resting on the San Yin Jiao acupoint of Yu Erniang's ankle. So his thumb is on a very important acupoint, okay? As the two of them simultaneously exerted their energy, Yu Erniang's internal energy immediately rushed out and entered Duan Yu's body. In the narrow confines of the tunnel, it wasn't easy to turn around. Yun Zhonghe had seized Zhongling's ankles. Zhong Wanqiu had viciously grabbed onto Yun Zhonghe's ankles. The divine croc had latched onto Zhong Wanqiu's ankles. Yu Erniang had snatched the divine croc's ankles, and at the very end of the chain, Duan Yu was holding onto Yu Erniang's ankles. Aside from Zhongling, everybody in the tunnel was using all of their strength to pull out the person in front of them. Zhongling did not have much energy, and at first it seemed as though she was going to be easily pulled out by Yun Zhonghe. But somehow it seemed as though someone in front of her had tightly grabbed onto her, preventing her from being pulled out. Everyone in this human chain had the Shaoshang acupoints on their thumbs attached to the San Yin Jiao ankle acupoints of the person in front of them. As Yu Erniang's internal energy flowed towards Duan Yu, it carried with it the internal energies of the divine croc, Zhong Wanqiu, Yun Zhonghe, and Zhongling. Zhongling didn't have much energy to begin with, so it was no big deal for her, but the other 4 people were terrified out of their wits and starting to kick like crazy, trying to escape the hold of the person behind them, but they were so tightly grabbed that they couldn't shake loose no matter what. The more urgently they exercised their internal energy, the more quickly it flew away from them. Duan is going to be so OP by the end of this story. Truth. Yun Zhonghe only felt that a stream of energy was flowing from Zhongling's ankle to him and then passing through his own ankle further down the chain. He thought to himself that it was extremely strange that the little kid had such profound energy. Fortunately for him, even while internal energy was dissipating from his ankles, he was receiving a constant injection from his hands around her own. Naturally, no matter what, he was unwilling to let go of Zhongling's ankles, for fear that once he did, he wouldn't be able to catch her again. Zhong Wanqiu and the rest had the exact same ideas as well. As their hearts began to grow more and more fearful, their grips grew tighter and tighter as well. It was similar to how a drowning person will grab onto anything they can and refuse to let go no matter what. Nobody in the tunnel could see a single thing. It was filled with the clamor of their shouts. Our leader has summoned you. Let go of me. Your old man is going to butcher you. What are you grabbing onto me for? Let go now. Mom, Mom, Daddy. Towards the end, they began to feel that although the stream of energy entering their body from their hands was beginning to weaken, the energy flowing out of their bodies from their feet did not slacken in the slightest. This caused them to be all the more fearful. Guan Yu pulled for a long time and noticed that the internal energy continuously gushed forth into him. He had experienced this before at Mount Wuliang. At the moment, he was able to handle the feeling of dry heat as he stored up the gush of internal energy within the ocean of energies at his Zhangzhong acupoint. But after a while, he began to feel as though the ocean of energies was becoming bloated and swollen. Slowly, he began to grow afraid as well, but he thought to himself that with Zhongling in such a precarious situation, he had to hang on no matter what. He clenched his teeth together and did not let go. No. Seeing so many strange events occur in succession, Gan Baobao was totally flustered and did not know what to do. In her heart, that spiritually transcendent feeling she had when Duan Zhengchun held her in his arms had not yet totally dissipated. Sitting on a chair stupidly, she softly cried out, Brother Chun, Brother Chun. He addressed me as his beloved Bao Bao. He held me. He kissed me. This time, it wasn't a dream. It was real. What? She's still thinking about that? The heat in Guan Yu's chest was proving difficult to endure, but the energy which was entering his body from his hands was only growing stronger and stronger. At this point in time, roughly half of the internal energy of the people in the tunnel had entered his body. Uh-oh. Finally, he was able to slowly drag Yu Erniang out of the tunnel, followed by the divine croc, Zhang Wanzhou, Yun Zhonghe, and Zhongling. Upon seeing Zhongling, Guan Yu felt a sense of relief in his heart. He immediately let go of Yu Erniang, then rushed forward to help Zhongling up. He called out, Sister Ling, you aren't hurt, are you? Yu Erniang and the other three had lost half of their internal energies. They released each other and simply sat there on the floorboards, huffing and panting. Wow, he sucked out half of their energies. Zhang Wanzhou suddenly cried out, There's a man! There's a man in that tunnel! It's Duan Zhengchun! It's Duan Zhengchun! He suddenly understood what had happened. He thought to himself, It must have been Duan Zhengchun who dug the damn tunnel underneath my wife's bedroom. Earlier I heard that man's voice and saw a man's shadow. It definitely is Duan Zhengchun. The flames of his jealousy roaring, he rushed forwards, pushing Duan Yu aside and grabbing Zhongling by the back of her neck, intending to toss her aside and jump back down into the tunnel and drag Duan Zhengchun out. Upon hearing him loudly cry out the words Duan Zhengchun, Gan Baobao immediately awoke from her stupor. Rising to her feet, her heart was filled with grief and bitterness. Zhong Wanzhou had forgotten that he had lost a large part of his internal energy. Although he grabbed her. Although he grabbed the back of her neck, not only was he unable to budge her, his own 2 feet suddenly buckled, and he fell into a sitting position on the ground. But he was unwilling to give up. No matter what, he was going to pull Zhongling from the tunnel. There was no way he was going to let Duan Zhengchun slip away. Stupor definition? It's like a state of mind where you're like in a trance. Not paying attention to anything around you. That's a stupor. A state of near unconsciousness or insensibility. I think I got that exactly right. You see them stuck in a hole like an ostrich? What does that mean? What do you mean by stuck like an ostrich? After pulling for a while, he saw a pair of hands emerge from the tunnel. These hands were wrapped around Zhongling's own wrists. Zhong Wanzhou loudly cried out, Duan Zhengchun, get up! You and I are going to fight to the death! Exerting all his strength, he pulled Zhongling backwards, and indeed, a person slowly emerged from the tunnel. This person really was a male. Zhong Wanzhou loudly called out, Duan Zhengchun! Letting go of Zhongling, he threw himself forward and seized the man by the chest. He lifted the man up, only to see that this man was repulsive and ugly, with knitted brows, a miserable face, a crooked mouth, and slanted shoulders. His body was extremely thin and gaunt. He was totally different from Duan Zhengchun. Duan Yu cried out, Mr. Huo, what are you doing here? This person was the golden abacus, Cui Bai Chuan. Zhong Wanzhou cried out, It isn't Duan Zhengchun. Lifting his face towards the sky, he fell over backwards. But even then, he wouldn't relinquish his tight grip on Cui Bai Chuan. But suddenly, two more hands reached out from the tunnel, grabbing onto Cui Bai Chuan's ankles. Zhong Wanzhou loudly cried, Duan Zhengchun! Using all his might, he pulled a second person out of the hole, only to see that this person was bald, with incense burn scars on the top of his head. It was a monk. His face was filled with wrinkles, and eyebrows were long and yellow. Not only was it a monk, but it was an extremely old monk. Duan Yu cried out, Master Huang Mei, what are you doing here? This old monk was the yellow-browed monk. Wait a minute, did he suck all of their energy? Is he super powerful now? Zhong Wanzhou exerted all of the remaining strength he had to pull the yellow-browed monk out of the tunnel, but nobody was grabbing onto his feet. Zhong Wanzhou rushed into the tunnel. After a long period of time, he breathlessly emerged from it, shouting, Nobody left! There's nobody left in the tunnel! He glanced at Cui Bai Chuan, then peered at the yellow-browed monk. There was no way in hell either of these two could be the secret lover of his wife. He felt a huge sense of relief. He cried out, Wife, I'm sorry. I wrongly blamed you yet again. By now, he had totally exhausted all of his energy and simply lay there at the tunnel entrance, panting. He was incapable of standing up again. The yellow-browed monk, Cui Bai Chuan, Ye Erniang, the divine croc, and Yun Zhonghe sat down on the floor, regulating their breaths and circulating their internal energy. Amongst the five, the yellow-browed monk's energy was far and away the best. After a short period of time, he stood up. He shouted loudly, You three evil creatures! Today I'll spare your lives. If you dare come to Daoli again to cause trouble, don't blame this old monk for being merciless. Neither Ye Erniang nor the divine croc nor Yun Zhonghe had any idea as to what happened in the tunnel. They all thought to themselves that it was some trick which the yellow-browed monk had performed. They thought to themselves that not even their leader had been able to overcome this monk, who was able to take away half of their internal energy in the twinkling of an eye. How could they dare to make so much as a peep? After regulating their breathing for a long period of time, they slowly rose to their feet. They fractionally bowed towards the yellow-browed monk. The yellow-browed monk then left the room and departed. At this moment, these three evil people didn't have the slightest evil aura about them. After bidding Zhong Wanzhou and Madame Zhong farewell, the yellow-browed monk, Cui Bai Chuan, and Duan Yu left the gorge. As they arrived at the mouth of the gorge, they saw Duan Zhengchun waiting with two of his household warriors. As Duan Zhengchun and Duan Yu, father and son, saw each other, they both felt very surprised. As it happened, after Duan Zhengchun saw Zheng Wanqiu rush into the room, he had felt extremely guilty and ashamed in his heart. He hurriedly exited the tunnel. As he left, he saw Cui Baichuan standing guard off to the side. Knowing the prince's dissolute temperament, Cui Baichuan didn't ask too many questions. He immediately volunteered himself to enter the tunnel and keep an eye on things, so as to make sure that Madame Zheng would not be harmed by her husband. But instead, he found Zhongling, whose ankles had been grabbed by Yun Zhonghe. He immediately grabbed her wrist to help her out. Just as he felt as though he would no longer be able to hold on, someone seized him by his ankles. As it happened, the yellow-browed monk was in the middle of pondering that game of chess. Hearing some commotion down in the tunnel, he had entered the tunnel from the stone house. Following the sound of the voices, he had discerned Cui Baichuan's identity and location, and had decided to give him a hand. But in that short period of time, both he and Cui Baichuan had lost a small half of their internal energy to Duan Yu as well. Yay! So he sucked all of their energies, guys. He's super powerful now. Definition of dissolute. Oh no. Dissolute either means sad or disappointed. Dissolute temperament. It must be sad. Sad. God damn it. Lacks in morals. Licentious. Oh no. Debauched. Okay. Damn it. Was that 2 songs? Was that 2 songs? This was a very long chapter. True. It wasn't just because of Wordle, okay? 2 songs? God damn it. Can I pick a song? You guys know Wallflowers? Wallflowers, One Headlight. I can save the song for next time if I'm too tired. No, we'll do it. We'll do 2 songs. Alright. My vote is for Wallflowers, One Headlight. That's a good ass song. I need to pee. Okay. Give me 1 second.